Was Skinny Bob real? Is Skinny Bob real? Well, let's talk about Skinny Bob. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I'll talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, I'm going to assume that you know who Skinny Bob is, and I'm not going to go over the whole history of Skinny Bob. But Eddie Abbott was just on Undercover ET UK with Rob, who I was interviewed by just the other day, and I interviewed him for the channel before that. So definitely go check out both of those interviews. Well, Rob sat down with Eddie, who was telling Rob about his information pertaining to Skinny Bob. And people are talking about Skinny Bob again, and so I think the time is right to talk about Skinny Bob. Who is Eddie Abbott, this gentleman that Rob sat down with to interview? Well, here's Linda Moulton Howe, who also interviewed him, going over his creds.
Edward Keith Abbott, at an older age than most, at 34, entered the U.S. Army in 2006. He did basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. He wanted to be an intelligence analyst and was sent to Fort Huachuca, Arizona for 16 weeks of training from March to September of 2006. Briefly after that, he was sent to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. There, he was attached to the 5th Group Special Forces, where he could have a beard. That's where Eddie Abbott was photographed wearing this Army camouflage fatigue shirt and the black beret, which was the primary headgear for all United States Army troops, then worn as part of the Army service uniform. He was also allowed to grow a beard in the context of his Special Forces status. Next, after Fort Campbell, Eddie was assigned to the one place that he most wanted to work, at S3, the 500th Military Intelligence Brigade at Schofield Barracks on Oahu, Hawaii. He arrived there in early 2007 with his wife, their 3 girls, and 1 boy, Tobias, who was in grade school.
Okay, so that's how he wound up with military intelligence. As his career in military intelligence went forward, he was able to go into SCIFs and he got access to UFO information. One of the things that he saw was the full video, the full Skinny Bob video with saucers and all sorts of stuff, right? Here he is with Rob on Undercover ET UK, and I highly encourage you to go watch the full interview, and I'll link to it below. Here he is describing what he saw in that SCIF about Skinny Bob.
1959, 62, somewhere in there. Just by looking at the stamp on it, you could tell this is old. And now it's going, and now you got the flicker. Like if you were looking at it, remember the old school things in school? They put it in. So that's what it's looking like. And now I'm looking at a craft. Okay, so it's not the first craft I've seen. But I mean, this is a legitimate disc, like maybe 80 feet, hovering above a house. And they're in a vehicle from the camera angle, and it's going down a road, filming this thing just hovering above a house. It's black and white. And from that point on, now all of a sudden the camera angle shifts up in the air. Now we're flying it with the camera, following another one of these craft. And then another one appears. And now, like from me to my neighbor's yard is how close it was. And I have a huge yard, but from me, maybe I'll say 30 meters, right? So 30 meters away is the first craft, and about 50 meters away is the second craft coming into view. Obviously, these things are bigger than whatever plane they're in. And if they follow it for a little while, and then it cuts to a being. And when I say a being, I'm talking one giant-headed guy. Now, this is my first ever visual of an alien. He's got a big head, right? He's got features similar to a very petite, small, I mean tiny nose, almost no mouth, but there was a mouth. I painted him. You want to see the painting?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yes.
Let me grab it out of him. This is what I saw.
Color and everything.
This is what I saw. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So this is how it appeared. Right here, I added the background so it popped out a little bit, but this is what craft looked like as well. So I painted what I know I don't know if you can see that craft.
Yep.
That's how they appear in the sky.
Wow.
So you see that there? They're translucent, and when you want to look at them, they look like individual little orbs that are red. But this is the guy. This is what he looked like. I kid you not. I'm a really good artist. This is what he looked like.
Wow. That's crazy as well because we saw red lights over at Sutton Venie Crop Circle just last week.
Yeah, then they go into a discussion of orbs, but there you go. Eddie is talking about his experience in a SCIF seeing Skinny Bob footage complete with saucers. I would love to know all about that. What's the real truth of all of that? Now, I don't know of anybody that's, been in a SCIF with Eddie. I don't know if it's been confirmed that he has been in SCIFs and so on. I would love to see that confirmed. But people are talking about Skinny Bob, of course. ProPixels is saying Skinny Bob is back in the cycle, and we are being told he is 100% real alien DNA. I put the original clips through my diffusion process, not AI upscale, to get the maximum detail. I clip in a few interesting aspects of his features. This is about as clean as I can get while still respecting the original details in the video. All right, well, let's see this upscaled Skinny Bob footage. Oh, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Now, to me, I always kind of thought Skinny Bob was CGI. I'll be honest. I never really placed a lot of stock in Skinny Bob. Some of the research is pretty compelling, and some of the analyses of the video is pretty compelling. I never quite knew what to think about Skinny Bob. Still don't. Let me know your theories about Skinny Bob in the comments below. I did have Anita O'Conan, a remote viewer, on the channel, and she remote viewed Skinny Bob. Under blind conditions, I just gave her a series of numbers as her target, and she was saying being kept in like an underground facility, and I think she said like bodies were being thrown down to them and stuff like that. Crazy stuff. You can go watch the full interview with Anita about her session, her remote viewing session on the channel. Now, if this is CGI, it's pretty good. This is definitely older. It's compelling. It's definitely compelling. Skinny Bob has never really been debunked. There was, obviously, there's been many debunkings, but all of the debunkings in turn seem to get debunked. Now, there's been multiple remote viewings on it, not just Anita. Metaphysical is interviewing remote viewers who remote viewed Skinny Bob, and they said, not CGI.
We didn't get CGI. That would have been very apparent. We didn't get animatronics. We didn't get a person in a suit. We didn't get anything like that. All the data went specifically to describing this being, and some viewers are even calling it an alien or a gray alien, that it was in a state of physical, very high level physical and emotional stress, right? So this thing had been captured through one of the, events where their ships were taken down, right? It was sort of like an event that was created in order to create another link into humans. And it was, in a sense, a sacrifice by those beings to sacrifice, poor old Skinny Bob. There's an aspect that is slightly amphibian within the genetics and frog-like.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we would compare it to, that we were seeing with our data, that it needed to be in a pond. It was like give it a lily pad in a pond, it probably would have been okay. But no, there was this aspect where frog skin is very sensitive, right? And there's a certain environment that it needs, and that's kind of what Skinny Bob needed, and it also sort of fed in a way through its skin, like it received nutrients and stuff through its skin, almost like chlorophyll as well, like plants. So there was this connection, this link with plants too, which is very curious.
The remote viewer goes on talking about how his team tried to actually and did connect to the consciousness of Skinny Bob. And Skinny Bob was depressed, he was in custody. He was thinking, oh no, I'm trapped here, basically. Not a happy individual. And he tried to, as the remote viewer says, bounce the remote viewing team out. Skinny Bob, the alien, would picture like a nature scene, and he would concentrate on it so hard that the remote viewer would be directed into that nature scene and would start describing the nature scene instead of Skinny Bob, unless they caught on to it and figured out what was going on. So super interesting. An intelligent, sophisticated being, not CGI, according to this remote viewing, and also the remote viewing of Anita O'Conan. And now we have the testimony of Eddie Abbott. We've had it for a while. He's been out there for years, who not only was in a SCIF with this material, but got to see saucers and other things on the video, and drew what he saw, which is indeed Skinny Bob. He's got a lot of other information, and I've gone over some of that information about cattle mutilation. So again, I encourage you to go watch the interview at Undercover ET UK, or find the older Linda Moulton Howe interviews. Just a really, really interesting set of information that Eddie has. Obviously use your own discernment. I've listed my own issues with his cattle mutilation information. I'd explained some of it, maybe, but it doesn't seem to explain the totality of the mutilation phenomenon in my mind. So let me know what you think about his information about Skinny Bob. Did Skinny Bob come from these saucers that were apparently taken over or forced down, and now he's held in captivity? We don't know what happened to Skinny Bob. Maybe potentially still around. He and his fellow beings, did they go back to their people? Were they held for ransom? Did the powers that be, the control group, extract information from them about technology or the tactics of the beings? If they were forced down and captured, how did that happen? What technology does the control group have that they continually seem to be able to shoot down successfully UFOs, and have done that for a long time? Did they acquire that technology from reverse engineering UFOs? Were they gifted that technology from friendly races, friendly beings, or at least beings that were against the beings that they're shooting at, right? We don't know if the control group is working with the good guys or the bad guys, but they are working with beings that don't seem to be allied with the beings the control group is shooting at, potentially involving humanity in some sort of cosmic conflict. And Skinny Bob may be a prisoner of war. He and his fellow beings may be prisoners of war of that conflict. It's super fascinating. Obviously I've interviewed John Stewart, who has done a lot of research on the alien interview video, and I'm convinced that is legit, and that is a real video of a real being going into distress, very sadly, and expiring, dying shortly after the video is taken. It seems like every time we get a video of aliens, they're in captivity or dying or dead. Very, very sad. But every now and then you do get a video of a being that seems alive, like that Ring camera video that I shared a couple weeks ago, or the Dobby the alien, the Dobby the house elf, doing this chicken dance. But yeah, let me know what you think about Eddie's information about Skinny Bob. What you think about the remote viewing of Skinny Bob, and just basically Skinny Bob in general. Is he legit? I am now leaning toward legit. So let me know if you're leaning toward legit, or if you think he's fake, or what exactly you think about it. Let me know what you think about it all. Comments below, like and subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below. Also be sure, of course, to check out the full interview with Eddie on Undercover ET UK. And I will see you next time, guys. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.